Well, today on the M Word, we're talking with Chris Norton, the founder and managing director of Prohibition PR. It's an award-winning PR agency transforming brands from overlooked to unforgettable. And Chris is the host of the Embracing Marketing Mistakes podcast, a top 10 UK marketing podcast. So that sounds like a good synergy, Chris. I'm really excited for this conversation. Welcome.
Oh, thank you, Jennifer. I'm delighted to be here.
Oh, I'm delighted to have you. We were just chatting when we got on Zoom together. Um, I am delighted to speak with people from the outside of America and always interested in perspectives. And that extends beyond like the political mess we were just chatting about. So I'm excited to hear about your agency, your podcast. But kick us off. Like, who are you? What do you do? A little bit about your journey, Chris.
Okay. My name's Chris Norton. I'm the founder of Prohibition. So Prohibition, I started in PR back in the year 2000. So I basically did college in the UK. We do A levels, and I quite liked the marketing element of a business A level that I did, and I was going to apply for marketing degrees, and my course tutor was a lovely lady, and she said, "Have you considered public relations?" And I was like, "What is that?" Bearing in mind I'm 17 at the time and had all I do was marketing and I thought business was carrying a briefcase to work, and a pencil case. And she said, "Oh, yeah, public relations is dealing in the media. It's getting clients on TV. It's getting clients on the radio. It's getting and there's a degree down the road in Leeds. I live in Harrogate in the UK, which is about 4 hours from London for the US. It's about 4 hours drive. And there's a degree at Leeds University, and it was approximately 30 minutes from my house. And she said, "Would you be interested?" And I said, "Oh yeah." Um, maybe. And then she said, "Oh, bearing in mind I'm a single 17-year-old," she went, "and 95% of the course is female." So I signed up.
Sold.
I signed up, and yeah, I did PR, and actually it was the best thing I ever did because I did like marketing and I liked this, but I loved the side of the PR side. And back then it was newspapers and all that sort of stuff, press cuttings, actual clippings. And I did 3 years there, and I did while I was we had a sandwich year at that degree. So I did a year on a nuclear power station. I got a job on a nuclear power station for a year in internal comms and HR. So that was doing like communications, writing the newsletter. It was like a magazine and everything. I got to edit, design, all the graphic communications, all that element. Then I finished the degree and moved to London. And I moved to London and I went to an interview. And the graduate recruitment schemes in London, for those of you that don't know, super competitive. So I didn't know. I'm from north of the UK. Came down for the interview, sat in a queue. There was 250 people for 4 jobs, and I waited. I know, yeah, and it was actually in a queue as well, which was ridiculous. It was like, so I got in, and weirdly, all these people, and I was sat next to two people. One was from Oxford, and the other one was from Cambridge, and I'm from Leeds. So I was going, I've got no chance of this job at all. So anyway, but I had a portfolio of work. So I went into the interview, and they said, "What is PR?" Well, obviously I've just done a degree of it. So I said, it's all about reputation and media relations. And they were like, "Great, great. Um, have you ever done it before?" And I was like, "Well, yes, actually." They said, "How would you write a press release?" I said, "Well, I've already done it, about 30. And I got all my stories out and my evidence of work, and I got the job. And then I worked in London for 4 or 5 years, moved back up north, worked for a couple of other PR agencies, doing various big sort of national clients in the UK. And then 14 years ago, I just decided to basically, I went freelance for a little bit and nearly got burnt out because I don't know if you work on your own, you start earning quite good money, and then I realised that I couldn't do all the work that I was earning, and sort of took the decision to start recruiting and then set Prohibition up. And 14 years later, we're based in Leeds City Centre, right opposite, next to Asda, which in America is Walmart. Walmart own Asda in the UK, or they did, and we're directly opposite, the other side of the river. So Prohibition has got about 27 employees. We've got about 30 clients. We've won about 35, 36 awards in the last 7 or 8 years. And Yorkshire's the biggest region in the UK. So if you imagine, I don't know what's the biggest state in America?
Landmass or people?
Yeah,
I mean,
a
you've got like
landmass.
t Texas probably.
Right.
Texas has got to be the largest.
So Yorkshire is the Texas of England. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like the bigger, but it's tiny compared to you. And yeah, we're like in the top two, depending on which stats you look at, which year, PR agency size wise. So in the whole of Yorkshire. So
Mm.
there's probably 300 agencies in Yorkshire, and we're in the top two or three. So yeah, but that keeps me busy. So that's who I am and what we're about.
That's fantastic. So, and then on top of it all, because building a team of 27 or so, 30 clients, 14 years, you got bored, so you had to start a podcast. Isn't that what we all do as founders?
No, well, do you know what? There's two reasons for that, right? I want to say it's a brilliant masterstroke, and I was on the cutting edge. No, that was Joe Rogan, when nobody knew what a bloody podcast was. No, what happened was I've got in-house. We've got a video team. So I've got two people who execute videography, and they've got cameras and they do video and everything. Anyway, about 2 years ago, because my podcast, Embracing My Mistakes, is 2 years old at the end of this month or the beginning of next month. So it's 2 years old. We've been doing it 2 years. And basically, this time 2 years ago, I got an email saying the guys have got nothing to do for 2 weeks. And that had never happened before because our video guys tend to be busy. So I just said, well, we could do with some video content. I'd love to do a podcast. And I went to a conference, right? And I've been to loads of conferences where I'm either speaking or on panels or just sat as a normal delegate. And I was sat listening to this speaker, and we'd had 5 or 6 speakers, and they'd all been like, "This is my great campaign. This is the excellent work this business has done. This is Dove. Look at this thought-provoking campaign we've done. Amazing campaigns." And then this one guy got up and went, "This is where I completely and utterly screwed up. I did this and this and this," and it was like, wow, that was so refreshing. And he talked about all the mistakes he'd made, and I was like, that would be a great idea for a podcast where we, instead of bigging yourselves up like I'm doing here, I actually get people to tell us your biggest screw up. I don't know if I can swear on here, so I
You
won't.
could swear. Yep,
The
we
biggest
swear.
fuck, we call it fuck up. We used to call
I
it
do too.
your biggest fuck up you get to talk about and what you learned from it, because I felt like people learn more from their fuck ups. But the thing is, in marketing, you'll know this, the amount of people that have wanted to come on the show and then they've gone, oh yeah, it's about mistakes. I haven't made any.
Hmm.
I've had 5 or 6 big, proper
Yeah.
people off the circuit who's speakers who'd want to come on the show, and then they've realized they've got to talk about a mistake, and then they say they haven't got any. Now that's a lie, because everybody's made a mistake somewhere, and it's just weird. And I just think it's a refreshing, honest approach to how you know what I mean. So I see you ask a similar question in your questions to me. So yeah, it's good.
Yeah, yeah. And my one of my questions, so I have many questions. But what is the most shocking mistake someone has talked about on your podcast? Is there anything that made you go speechless? Which is not a good thing when you're a podcast host.
Oh my God. I mean, so we've done 2 years. We've had 80, we're on 85 episodes. I see you're on, was it 68 you're on? 69, something like that?
You know better than me. We've been recording for 4 years, but not continuously.
Yeah.
And we've changed the format a couple times. So in this
Okay.
reinvention, it's more consistent. But
Uh,
yeah.
I
Yeah,
mean, so
we've recorded probably 80, but we've dropped in the 60s. So
okay,
we've
so
got, yeah.
well, I mean that's good, because the thing about running a podcast, well done to get to over 10, by the way. Anyone that's done more than 10 episodes is amazing. You've done an amazing job, because running a pod, for those of you out there, that marketers that are listening and thinking, I'm going to start a podcast, it's really easy. No, it's not. It's not really easy, is it? Is it,
No.
Jennifer? It's tough. It's tough. It's a tough, and it's not a quick fix, and it takes a while. Anyway, but it's good fun because you get to meet great people. So, the worst mistakes. I told my mistake. I'll come on to that in a minute, but which I've told on the show, because obviously you can't do one of that without admitting one yourself. I've got several, by the way, but one of the ones that I had was we had a guy called Ant Cousins come on the show, and he was like. So for those of you that don't know, Ant is he's pretty much a global speaker on the topic of the year is the last decade, AI, and he's one of the top guys in the UK that talks about it. And he came on the show and he was talking all about AI and how it's going to change and everything. And we're talking about all the different things and facets to it. Really interesting. But but then we got to his mistake, right? So, and he used to work as the head of comms at number 10 Downing Street, which is essentially, if you don't know, it's the UK's White House. And I was like, okay. And he said, my mistakes from then. And I was like, oh, this is interesting. So what happened? He said, well, basically, this was during we had a prime minister called David Cameron. So I don't know
Hmm.
if he transcended over to the US. And
Yeah, we get some international news here in the US. So yeah.
well, besides Donald and Joe. So basically, what happened was just before, so they knew David Cameron was coming in to win a landslide, and he was going to become the prime minister. So number 10 Downing, I don't think he'd actually was. I don't know if he was in situ yet as prime minister, but he was going to be prime minister soon. So, and this was during the Iraq war thing. So they flew David Cameron out to see the soldiers at Camp Bastion out in Iraq, and so all the soldiers, the Americans and the Brits, all got together to hear what they had to say. I think they had a couple of famous people there as well, and of course the world's media, the new prime minister of the UK was coming, transcended on Iraq. Every CNN, all your Fox, everybody are there, the BBC, and there's a massive tent. He said there was literally 80, 90 cameras in this tent because it's the world's media because just before he's becoming prime minister. And on the way to the press briefing, so he's head of comms, so he's briefing David Cameron. And he said, David, they're going to ask you about Iraq, and they're going to ask you about what we're going to be doing, why we're here, da 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 da. And he went, actually, I'm too busy for this. I'm not doing it, and walked off. And he said, so I'm stood there. I've got 200 media in the tent, an air-conditioned tent, waiting for a live press broadcast in 5 minutes. He said, I walked out and sat in front of all the cameras and microphones. He said, everything was on me. And they went, David. And he said, I tried to explain that I wasn't David Cameron, but they thought I was David Cameron because it wasn't the British media, it was everyone. So he said, I just went with it and pretended I was David Cameron. And I was like, how did you get away with that? First of all, I thought David Cameron to walk away not to do the interview is really harsh when you've got an international press briefing going on. But I
Hmm.
mean, you guys in America know what when you've got a difficult leader that they can just make their own decisions, and that's basically what he did. He just said he wasn't doing it, and he dropped him right. And he said my blood ran cold, and the sheer terror. Anyway, he left the role not long after that. I don't think he did quite well though, and he pulled off the interview and was interviewed by. It went on for about 30 minutes as well, where he had to answer
Hmm.
all. But because he was briefing the prime minister, he managed to do it. So that one did make me feel. It made my blood run cold because being in front of all those media and trying to answer questions. But he just said he went with it. So yeah, I thought it was quite funny. And we've had
That
loads of other
is.
ones as well, like loads. There's tons of mistakes. There's a guy that set up there's a guy that set up a wine tasting business just before the pandemic and the month before. And it was a wine testing business that you could test at home, so you could do wine tasting with your friends. So do you remember when you used to have parties on your Zoom camera and you'd be drinking on your own? Like it was a bit weird. So they launched just before the pandemic, and he said sales just went crazy. So he thought, oh
Right.
wow, he got extra investment. The business is doing great. Then the pandemic ended, and his business just went bust, and he lost all the money. So I mean,
Wow.
there's tons of stories like that. So a lot of
Right,
people have been
right.
really, really honest. So yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. I find like in small groups, right? Like if you're at like a little networking group or you're at a dinner party, people will get really honest really quickly with you about their challenges and but the minute they're like in front of the group, it's how's business? Business is great. Like everything is great. There's this I feel like there's this culture of like you fake it till you make it publicly, right? Like you never admit that it's hard, and in a way, it's a huge ego boost that I got my shit together, and so
Mm.
if you're feeling like you're struggling, then you should just get out of this business and let us like confident people. But But like you, having these conversations with people, and mine, it's a little less tactical, and it's more like, is there something that's still haunting you today? Is there something there's a lesson that you carry from the thing that you screwed up, or some failure or brick wall that you hit? Um, when people are given the space to kind of be honest and supported, like everybody has these like hidden demons, right? Or hidden, and sometimes there's shame involved in it. Like, I pursued this and I didn't go that way, or I didn't make the money or everyone thought I was doing well and I was like going into debt, and all of these like really kind of meaningful stories that are just the human experience becomes fascinating, right? And as marketers, what are we trying to do? We're trying to help our clients connect with humans. So like the more I feel like as my career has evolved, I'm curious how you've approached this with your business, your podcast. It's, the more human, it's almost psychology. We're not trained in psychology, but like the more you understand how humans tick and and how they can be met where they are,
Mm,
I think the more effective we are as marketers at the end of the day in a tactical way, because humans are not just, avatars.
no, logical. They're not logical.
No, not at all.
No, that's the problem with AI, isn't it? Sometimes, like, you need to be not logical, emotional. You've just reminded me there when you said as somebody who's felt shame. We had a guy on the podcast called Paul Sutton, and he came on and he had a podcast. Weirdly, he was another podcaster in marketing called The Digital Download. It was pretty good. He stopped doing it now though. But he came on and he did an interview, and he works as a consultant in the UK. He's been freelancer of the year, marketing freelancer of the year, and he went, I've never told this story, but I'm going to tell you. And I was like, okay. And he said, I launched a business with my wife, and we put the house on the market. We put mortgaged the business, mortgaged the house to fund the business, and they started a place called the Pets Emporium. And he said that's the first problem. Nobody could spell Emporium, and and they created this business, and it was. He said basically they created a pets business, which was a bricks and mortar business and an online business where you could get anything for your pet, but it was premium because we thought, oh, people will pay a little bit extra for premium bits and for your dog and your cat. And he could, because he was an online marketing specialist, he thought it would really work. He'd do it online, and he said it just cost them thousands. They invested everything they had in it, and he said, "I've never told anyone it because I'm a marketer. I've done really well in my career. I've worked for great agencies, and I felt a bit ashamed that it didn't work out." And he said basically it was the location. We picked a bad location for where this shop should be, and then the digital side was doing okay, but then we were just wiping the business was sort of wiping its face, and it wasn't. And do you know what? He told us this story. It went on for about 20 minutes about how he struggled with his wife to decide what to do. And they said, right, we've got to stop. They stopped it, closed the business, and then he just went back into consulting, became a marketing, and then that's why his successful career's come from again.
Hmm.
But he said this, and then after the podcast, he emails me afterwards in LinkedIn. LinkedIn messaged me and said, actually, I feel really good about you got that out of me. He said I wasn't going to talk about it, and I felt it's like a weight off my shoulders, and I'd like to share it. And he took that story and placed it on his own podcast. He said, "Can I put it on my own podcast feed and just give you
Wow.
a credit?" And because he said I feel like I should have told that story years ago.
It's like
So
going to confessional.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. It's a bit like confession. So we have had a few of those as well. Where people and you don't want to hear horrible stories, but it's funny when people tell
Right.
you a funny story. When you hear a funny
Oh,
story,
for
it's a,
oh, for sure, for sure. So what's your mistake, Chris? Like, come on, you've been in business a really long time, and
well,
surely you've got something to share.
well. So what happened? So when I worked in London, I moved. So I'd worked for a London agency. We worked for GlaxoSmithKline, which is GlaxoSmithKline do pharmaceuticals. Used to
Hmm.
do PR. Used to do the PR for a few pharmaceutical brands. So I moved. So I sold up. Sorry, moved from my rented property in London back up north, 4 hours away, and before and got a job in an agency, which was a national agency in the UK. So the way that this worked was they had a London office, and then they had offices in Scotland, Wales, Ireland, several in Ireland, and it was all around the UK. I won't name the agency. If you go on my LinkedIn, you'll be able to figure it out. And there's about 10, there's about 10 offices. Anyway, so I was in the Leeds office, and the Leeds office, at the time, we had the National Lottery, which was massive at the time in the UK. It was the main lottery. And so if you won £10 million, my job was to be the person on the end of the phone that went, congratulations. And I would then, they'd say congratulations, hand the phone to you. And then I would go, hello, how do you feel? And then I'd write a story about what they were going to do with their money, and it was quite a fun job. Anyway, but I was in the Leeds office. We were responsible for Yorkshire, which is, like I say, it's like the Texas of the UK, and the Northeast. So it was a really big patch. Anyway, so first week in the job, third day, I get an email from the London office. Chris, hi guys. It was for the Leeds office. We've got a national story. We've got a new bar opening in Newcastle. Now, for those of you who don't know, Newcastle is quite a small city. But it's one of the main cities in the UK. We've got a new bar opening in. It's a we won't mention the brand. It's a certain themed brand, and it's going to be called insert brand name Newcastle. Okay, so it's going to change the name. It's a big story. We want you to organise the visuals outside, a big sort of party, get some media coverage. Here's the draft of a release, but can you tailor it and work on the rest of it? So I go, okay, off I go, create the media list, and write it all out, work on it for a couple of hours, send it back to London, the London office, right? Bear in mind, I've only been in a job 2 days in this agency. I get an email back, bing, from the London account director, and it says, hi, Chris. Great, this is good to go. What would you do there?
You send it out.
Yeah, so that's exactly what I did. I sent it, and this is a Friday, so I sent it out. I think it's about 1:30. Right, it went, and I got on the phone. I was on the phone. Hi, I've got this great story. This new bar's opening. I'll send you the. Anyway, they've got two or three regional TV stations, 6 or 7 local radio stations, 3 or 4 or 5 regional media, media press, and then internet stuff. Anyway, 4 o'clock comes. Bear in mind, it was 1:30. It went out. 4 o'clock comes. In comes another email. Hi, Chris. I've spoken to the client, and they've said we better not send this out yet because there's a bit of an uproar over the name of the brand. Because there's some traditional. This was to my boss, by the way, it wasn't to me. There's a Geordie tradition around the name of the venue, and they don't want to change the name. Basically, locals have gone up in an uproar because it's got some local history that the brand weren't aware of. Now, I went, hang on a minute. So what do I do here? They're saying it. So then it said, so don't send it out just yet while we sort all this out. And I'm thinking, but you said it was good to go at 1:30, and I've literally sent it everywhere. I've spent all afternoon selling it in. It's gone everywhere. Right. I thought, right, I could be honest here. And bear in mind, one of my values is being trustworthy and honest. I've only been in the job 2 days. So I was like, I'm just going to bury my head in the sand like an ostrich and hope it all goes away. So I just thought, let's just pretend that's not happened. It's good to go.
All this strategy in the world, pretend it didn't happen.
And so what happened was I went, I went home, and then I was actually living with we were staying at my girlfriend, who's now my wife's parents. And I get there and I open a beer. It's like 6 o'clock. TV, local news comes on. It's all over the local news, and it's all over the national news. And it literally went everywhere. The story went everywhere.
You were too good at your job.
Oh my God. I thought I was fired. And then on Monday, nobody mentioned it. It was everywhere. It was literally in the clippings. The story went everywhere. Nobody mentioned it. And I never got told off I think maybe the team that said it was good to go probably did, but I was so fearful of losing my job because I thought good to go when it was good to go. So what have I learned from that? Is double check as much as you can. You know what I mean?
Especially on your second, third day.
Oh God, it was honestly, I spent the whole weekend terrified. I thought I was fired. I thought I'm going to be gone. I've done a great job and I've done such a good job. I'm going to be fired. That's what I thought.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought you were going with something from the lottery, but
No, well, oh, I've had a few of those. They're quite good. Oh, a woman once won £9.75 million, which is about $15 million. And I went, congratulations, you've won £9.75 million. Um, what do you want to do with it? What's the first thing you want to do with it? And she went, well, I've always fancied a caravan in Cleethorpes. And I went, a caravan? You could buy the whole caravan site, the whole motorhome site. She wanted to buy one caravan. It's crazy. So yeah, I mean, I had loads of those, but it is, you had to be careful because you were dealing with the general public. So
right, right.
our job was to help them be the interface between the media because they didn't, they weren't media trained. So our job was to run
Sure,
the press
sure.
conferences and stuff. So yeah, it's quite fun.
So Chris, what's next for you and Prohibition PR and or your podcast? Like, what are you gunning for?
Oh, great question. I'm gunning for I don't know really. I mean, God, I'd like to do this, keep doing this job while I've got the energy, and then if I run out of energy, because running an agency, it's not big, but I mean, over 20 people, day in day out is you need a lot of energy to be positive all the time. As you just said before, everyone says, "Oh yeah, business is great." The Brits are a bit different. Brits are like this. Businesses, yeah,
Bullocks.
yeah, bollocks. Yeah. But I think you've got to be an optimist in this. If you wouldn't have started a business if you weren't an optimist. So I have to be an
That's right.
optimist despite the bloody world economy, trying to get me down all the time. I can't do anything about it. So I just hope that in sort of the next 5 or 6 years, I want to keep Prohibition up there, making sure we're winning awards. We're still doing excellent work, and I'd like to grow the podcast. I do like meeting new people. I get a buzz out of it. So yeah, I just think growth. I think my thing is growing the podcast and meeting more interested people like yourself who've done similar things. It's fascinating.
It is. Yep. That's great. So I love asking marketers how like how do you market your marketing? Do you take your own advice? Are you a bad marketing client as a marketer? You a good marketing client?
Okay, right. Well, this is an interesting one. Yes, I do follow my own advice. So, um, but the problem with running a PR agency, this is the same for any marketing discipline. If you, I imagine it's the same for anything. It's the cobbler's shoes.
Mm-hmm.
Literally the last thing that gets done is our own public relations. Literally is because we know we can turn it round. But actually, I've approved a story about us this morning. We just won a new travel client, and we've approved that. So I've got other people in my business doing our PR.
Mm-hmm.
I've got other people helping me with our marketing. We use specialists. My video team do our video. We'll record our podcast and things. So we try to do excellent events and excellent podcasts to add value. That is exhausting. Our events take so much work because it's all about value, as your podcast is as well. It's about giving value back to people. So trying that, but do we do everything perfectly in terms of marketing? Probably not. I'm still trying to figure out how to get LinkedIn advertising to be cheaper. We're currently running a campaign to get people
Yeah,
to,
let me know when you
yeah,
crack that nut,
it's
will
so
you?
expensive. So expensive. Like, we're running a food and drink marketing event in the UK. It's free. It's like an hour, and we're running a campaign. It's like £4, which is about $6 a click, and it's a free webinar. It's really relevant to a really specific, food marketers in the UK. So, yeah, I think we do good marketing. Could we do more? Probably if I just didn't do as much of the day to day. So, yeah, I think we're pretty good, but we could be better. We'd probably
Yeah.
use someone like you for an external view, and you'd probably
I
say,
I feel like that should be a thing. Like we maybe we should create a co-op for
yeah,
agencies to give each other like just basically co-op points, like, hours of services to help each other because I do think we get stuck. I was talking to somebody yesterday on the podcast actually.
mm,
Our website project was in our project management system and it was
yeah,
called Website Refresh 2023. It's the name of the Slack channel. It's the name of the Asana project. It's the name of the folder where all our files are. We launched that sucker in December of 24 by the hair of our chinny chin chin. It got out because I was like, this cannot roll to 2025. And the reason why is, managing budget for a client, that's our business. We get really good at that. Keeping in
yeah,
scope, communicating change orders, all this stuff you have to do to be a business, right?
yeah,
But when
yeah,
it's for yourself and it's like, well, let's see one more iteration. How about we rewrite that one more time? Oh,
yeah.
let's bring another viewpoint inside. And we know no boundaries for ourselves. So it's
It's
it's it's a little hard.
paralysis by analysis is what
Yeah.
it's called, isn't it? Just
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
double downing on everything and never actually doing anything. That's the
Yeah, yeah.
we had a thing where we were saying we should do a thought leadership report, a report on a sector, issue it, and then get people to download it. And by the time we got round to doing it, nobody does reports anymore, do they? It's all video. So, do you know what I mean? It's because you're spending so long to make it brilliant and perfect and value led, and then AI
I
just does
know.
5 seconds.
Well, and now it's like the trend in marketing is like this like the raw authenticity, quick, like not polished, not staged, just people talking. They don't have to be made up. They don't have to be dressed up. It doesn't, you have to have the direct backdrop. It's just do it. Get it out because everything is so flash of the pan now. We're competing with so much information. This idea of
Yeah,
production value is going away. I really, certainly commercials, high value placements it's a little different, but like the
mm,
day-to-day media landscape is much more raw.
yeah.
Um, yeah. So I don't know if you saw our rapid fire questions that we like to completely, utterly make a left turn here and it just hits you with a few fun questions, Chris.
hmm
But are you prepared or is this going to be raw for you?
I saw them,
Okay.
but they're a
Let me
bit
think about
random.
them.
So go for it. Go for it.
They're so random. They're so random. What's your favorite social media?
Favorite social media was Twitter, now X, not X anymore. It's rubbish. Sorry if anyone is a fan. I'm a massive fan of it. Now Blue Sky, because it's a bit more balanced. I get that everyone's got a voice, but I think X has gone a little bit too far one way for me.
Mm-hmm. Is
I
there a
do
book
look.
you?
I'm a big fan of TikTok though. Love TikTok.
Oh, me too. Personal,
TikTok.
or you like it for work?
I do pick. Well, I'm 40. I'm in my 40s, nearly my
Y-
50s, and I don't do like dancing videos, but I do pick TikTok. I put my podcast clips on, and so they do quite well. But I need to do more videos, pieces to camera, because I do think that the value stuff, but I do enough of that on the podcast and the event. It's like you just said there, time. You just don't have time to do another. Oh, last thing I want to do when I get home is that do another blooming video. So yeah.
That's right. Is there a book you always recommend?
Yeah, Rich Dad Poor Dad, brilliant video, brilliant book. I advised my 17-year-old son to read it the other day if he wants to make himself wealthy. It's a great book. Yeah,
Yes, agree. I think it made an impression on our family as well. And for those who don't know, it really talks about the difference between savings and building wealth through investment, right?
yeah.
Um,
It's got a twist in it as well, hasn't it? Like, you're thinking that one dad is, I don't want to ruin the book, but yeah, one dad is rich and one dad is poor, and it turns out that actually the rich dad is the poor dad and the poor dad is the rich dad. So it's quite a great book. It's great for that, like the way it's done. You think one way and it's actually the other way around. So it just makes you think about commerciality and running a business in a completely different way, I think.
yeah. And incidentally, there's a children's book
Oh yeah.
that it's called Rock, Brock, and the Savings Jock.
Okay.
And the idea, anyway, there's some parallels there, and it's a picture book for children. Uh,
I
so
like it.
I'm excited for this question because you're not American. So Taylor Swift, yay, nay, or don't care?
Well, the haters gonna hate, 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 aren't they? Taylor Swift, "Shake It Off," brilliant track. I, ugh, she's a guilty pleasure, isn't she? I mean, I like some of it and some of it not. She's done more albums than I've had hot dinners. I'm an big Ed Sheeran fan though. UK,
Mm-hmm.
rep in
Yep.
the UK. I've seen Ed Sheeran live three or four times. We saw him before he was pretty much before he was what he is now. When he was just
Mm,
breaking, my wife and I caught him and we said this guy's gonna be massive. And then within 3 years, he was everywhere. So. Um,
yeah.
Taylor, though, I like. It's guilty pleasure. I wouldn't have just admitted it in public. That's terrible, isn't it?
I think it's totally acceptable to admit that. So, Chris, where do you want to go on your next vacation?
Well, I just got back 2.5 weeks ago from Thailand, and while we were there, we said we'd love to go to Vietnam because of the
Mm,
history, and it's quite. We don't go that far across the other side of the planet, and when you get out there, it's a complete culture. It's very different. There's a culture shock. The weather's so hot and humid, but yeah, Vietnam's got so much history. It's such a beautiful part of the world, so much wildlife, and it's so different to everywhere else that I've been. So I'd say, yeah, I'd like to go and visit Vietnam.
that's fantastic. How was Thailand?
Oh, amazing. Weirdly though, my wife and I went 25 years ago. It was our like a holiday before we moved back to up here from London. And we were out there for 6 weeks. We traveled Thailand the first time, and now I've gone back with the kids. And the first time we went out there, if you got caught smoking cannabis, not that I did, but if you got caught smoking cannabis, you would get 20 years in prison.
Yeah,
This time, it's legal. So everywhere we went, there was Americans
yeah,
smoking
yeah.
smoking weed and eating cookies and drinking milkshake. I couldn't get my head around it. There was like bar, cannabis cafe, bar, cannabis cafe. And I was like, how has this happened? They're just making tax out of cannabis. It blew my mind. My kids were like, what is that? I was like, well, it's a cannabis cafe. They've not seen anything like it. We've only got in Europe. I think we've only got it in Holland where it's legal. So
Hmm.
it's very
It's
strange.
everywhere in America now. Like, and
Oh,
there's
is it?
certain, yes,
Oh,
and
right. Okay.
it's state by state, but there's certain places where, uh, in Washington D.C., which I'm 5 minutes outside Washington D.C., it's highly available and legal, and it's like you drive into D.C. and you smell it everywhere.
And are they taxing it then? Are they making tax from it?
Yes, yes, in the stores. Like,
Right.
and so
Okay.
certain states are medical only,
Right.
and then other states like Maryland is recreational, so you can walk into a store and get it.
It's
And
just
we're all,
crazy.
yeah, it is. It's
It's
changing
the
crazy.
UK is miles away from there. We're nowhere near that. I think we've got it for. Oh, you can only get it if it's completely medical, and it's for people that really suffer. But I
Hmm.
don't think we're anywhere near close to having it anywhere near like having recreational. You know what I mean? So it's just very unusual. But obviously, it's not as unusual for you guys then.
Yeah, it's changing rapidly here. It really is. It's interesting to see it internationally though too, how different it is from place
Y-
to place. But
Yeah,
yes, so as I predicted that we would, this
overrun.
there's no rules. I make the rules.
You are the
So
rules.
I am the rules. This is so much fun. I feel like I could talk to you all day, Chris. But alas, you have a weekend probably creeping up on you here since you're late on a Friday afternoon and I'm just in the middle of my day. But love talking with you. Thank you for joining us on the M Word podcast. And we will put this in the show notes, but where can folks find you, your business, your podcast? Where should they look for you?
Embracingmarketingmistakes.co.uk, or you can find me on LinkedIn. I'm Chris Norton number two. Yeah, or prohibitionpr.co.uk, but that's too many places. Just find the podcast. You guys listen, and yeah, maybe we'll get you on some point. Lovely speak to you, Jennifer. I loved it.
So much fun, Chris. Thank you.
No, thank you.